NC4XL, North Carolina for extreme lovers. I just thought I'd take a little moment to share something that I have learned over time to maybe help the new activators and or maybe help the hunters to understand the activators. One of the things about activating parks, there's several different styles, and each activator gets to choose what they have, how they want to do it, and so forth. But here's what I would like to share with you. Just in my habit of running the parks, obviously, I'm not a hit and get or rove party. I generally will stay at a park for 3 to 4 hours. That's me. And all of us are different, so don't be me. Be you, but consider some of the facts that while you're at that park, whether it's for an hour or 3 hours, 4 hours, to try some different things. Propagation, you've heard me say many times, is something that we get to play with, but we have no control over. When the gray line's up, certain times of the morning, UTC wise, the band is hot. The sun gets a little higher up, and the band has stopped. And with the solar effects that have been going on in the last month, I think many of us activators have really seen that. And the hunters are spinning the dial looking at the spotting page and seeing 25 activators out there. But then the hunters are finding, well, they say they're there, but they don't hear anything. Okay, now that leads into what I do for me, myself, and I. When we run the bands on the East Coast, for me, not for you folks on the West Coast or for the Midwest, everything is different based on your area of operating. But I will start early in the morning because I'm not working, I'm retarded or retired or a combination thereof. I will start on 40 meters. Diane and John are a big asset to the Breakfast Club on 40 meters when they lived in Florida. Now they just moved a few hundred miles, let's say, to Georgia, so things change, so we'll have to follow how that works, but they prove a point. 40 meters is a great band to start on the East Coast. But when you go from there and you run it and it dries up and dies or whatever you want to call it, do you run to 40, from 40 to 15, from 15 to 12, 12 to 10, 20 meters? Where do you go? That's what you have to learn. You need to watch a spotting page, see where people are experimenting or trying to make contacts. And then use gut. You use what you think. Use what you feel, not what I feel, not what somebody else feels. What would you do? Where would you go? Those are the things that will help you become more proficient as an activator by trying. I am blessed with many followers that have learned if they miss me the first time on 40 or 20, they stand another opportunity because those are the bread and butter bands, period. I don't care how you call it. That's where everybody stays. That's where many folks have ham sticks just for 20 and 40. And they don't venture very often to 17, 15, 12, 10, 6. They stay where the bread and butter is, 20 and 40. And that's not a problem. But if you happen to have a style that you like to, especially if you're staying in a park, work the band in the morning. Start out in 40. Work it in mid-morning, afternoon. Start out in 20. If you're on the East Coast, the heaviest populated part of the country here of amateur radio operators. So, for myself, I'm going to run 40, and I'm sharing this with you to think about. You don't do as I do what you think is right, but try it if you like. But I start out early, 1200 UTC on 40 meters. And then I'm going to look at the spotting page to see if there's any activity on 15 or 17 before I go to 20. I see a lot of folks that start out on 20 meters at 1200 UTC because where they're at apparently is great for them, where I would consider 40 meters, but that is because it's good for me. Areas dictate where you're going to start. But go back. If you're fortunate enough to stay a couple hours at a park, don't stay on one band. If it dries up, go to another band. Try it out. Go to another band. Try it out. Not 2 minutes worth. Some people have been noted to stay 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half an hour, and get nothing, understandably, when they leave. But propagation changes. I'll share a story that I received from one of my QRP participants. Kilo November 8, Papa Yankee. You can verify it with him if you like. Many times when I'm on 20 or 40, he sees the spot. Ham alert's an awesome thing. But he doesn't hear. And his focus is to try to work me. So he leaves it on that frequency because he's watching the spots on the spotting page. Based on that, next thing he'll know, he knows how to get into my calls or QRZs because he's QRP. He knows I'm listening for his call. I'm listening for QRP calls. I'm listening for light stations, but he knows that. So he knows when to get in, and he has repeatedly told me, the band all of a sudden woke up. I knew I had to get you then. And that's what, if you're not in a hurry, you can sometimes sit and listen and watch the band roll in. And we all know what it's like when it rolls out because it's gone. Same thing with QSB. For those folks on the East Coast, and I'm going to say those folks in South Carolina, Florida, Georgia that start strictly on 20 meters, I don't have that pleasure of finding a lot of activity here in North Carolina for me. But I find that I do better for myself here on 40 meters and then move up to 20. Up north of me, up in Massachusetts, Connecticut, in that area, I don't have the experience. I have to rely on the other activators that are in that part of the country and watch where they spot, which gives me something to think about. Should I try that part of the band? There you go, folks. Just a thought process as I get a little older. Some of the things that have helped me become a little bit more proficient in what I'm doing. Hey, little girl. One of our children, the stiletto cat, 11 pounds, sleeps on my ankle. Her brother is 19-pound blue Russian, sleeps on my lap. I am blessed. Thank you all for taking the time to listen. Try it in your areas as an activator, depending on your part of the country. Change bands from what you normally do in operating to see if you can improve it, change it, make it better, or that it got worse. Again, remember, propagation we don't get to control, we get to play with. Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully somebody will find that, hey, that worked, and that you'll increase your time in the park instead of getting at this park and 20 minutes later driving out. It's fun having a hobby that allows us to do these things. Thank you for joining us today. November Charlie 4 X-Ray Lima, NC4XL, North Carolina for Extreme Lovers Are Not. Something special is about to happen if you have listened to the video through its entirety. And be watching 70.